up, Living in Rockland? I am so excited to introduce Michael Cleary, the founder and owner of SmartThinkMath, a super mathematician. Mike, why don't you kick it off? Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from. Did you grow up in Rockland? Kick it off.
Well, first off, thank you so much for having me. It's really, I know I just talked behind the scenes, but it's really cool what you guys are doing. So thank you so much.
Thank
Um,
you.
I live in Orangeburg currently, and I'm a TZ graduate. I moved all of 2 miles down the road. Love the area. I've lived here literally since my whole life. About 5 years old, moved here. Went to South Orangetown. Went through the middle school. Went to Tappan Zee. So all my roots are here, and it's great still living here. My kids now, I have a 5-year-old and 6-year-old. They're going through the system, and just I love it here. So we stayed here, and life is good in Rockland.
Good. I love to hear that. You're a fellow Dutchman. I appreciate that.
Did you go there?
I did, but I graduated in 2015, so you're probably
A
older
lot
than me.
older.
I don't.
Yeah, 99 for me. 99.
Still, we bleed red, right?
Yeah,
We all
probably know
fellow
a bunch of people, same people, I'm sure.
exactly. So bring us back a little bit. I was reading that you are a math teacher, right? And so I'm sure that inspired this whole journey of becoming a math tutor. But bring us back a little. Tell us a little bit about what inspired you to become a teacher and what you did, and bring us
So
back.
I'm a teacher for 19 years, a math teacher now. I work in the Bronx. I went to school for business, and I did business for about a year after school, a little bit more, and it just wasn't for me, sitting at a desk. And I'd always thought about becoming a teacher, but you worry, are you going to make enough money? Different types of. But it ended up, I decided I'm going to go back to school at night, and it ended up being the best decision. I tell everyone it is just impacting people every day, working with young kids. I work with middle school, I work with high school, every once in a while younger, but I'm a teacher at MS 45 in the Bronx. And it was truly the best thing that I've ever done, going back and getting my education degree. I don't regret it for 1 second. And I always loved math. So I said, you know what, let me inspire, let me try and make a little difference in the world and become a math teacher. And so that's what I am 19 years later.
That's amazing. So are you at the same school for 19 years, or have you kind of floated around a bit?
I've been in the Bronx all 19 years, but this is my third school, but in the Bronx, but my seventh year at this school.
Wow, that must be tough in the city, right?
It's
But
it's different.
it's
Its
different.
own challenges, its own perks too. So there's so much you can definitely see where you make an impact
Impact, right?
in students' lives. Sometimes they don't have all the things that we're lucky enough to have, that I was lucky enough to be blessed with,
Hmm.
and that I try and give my own daughters, and they don't always have it. So you try and make the biggest difference that you can.
It's really nice to hear, because sometimes we can get in that rut of just showing up to work every day, and it feels like a 9 to 5, and it kind of gets like mundane. But you really do. It sounds like you really do feel like you're making an impact on these children's lives.
I do, and don't get me wrong, there's every once in a while a day where it does feel like, everyone feels that. But, you try and do your best 99.9% of the
Hmm.
time, and try and make an impact, and you try and just make a difference in people's lives, whether it be around here, whether it be passing in the street, whether just teaching them to say please and thank you. So
Right.
it's all about trying to make the community and where you were better to me.
Where did you go to school for teaching for your
So
master's?
I went to Manhattanville, right over in
Okay.
Westchester. It
Yep.
was a night program. I worked during the day and went to night, and my family supported me while I was doing that, which was,
Mhm.
I was still living at home. I had just done my undergraduate, and my parents are big role models in my life, and they're still are. They live where I grew up, and it's just great having friends and family all around me to help and support me.
Support. So, what inspired you to open up Smart Think Math? Now that we know you're a math teacher for
Yeah.
19 years, tell us about your company that you opened up, your business.
So I've been tutoring in the private tutoring business for about 10 years now, give or take. And I have a daughter who's almost 7. And before my daughter, I was, as many hours as you can get in. You want to make money, you want to help people and make money. It's the best of both worlds. And my name got out there a little bit, word of mouth. You show up, you do a good job, you smile, and you know the topic, the material. And about 2.5 years ago, it's just I was doing so much. I was missing some time with my family.
Mm,
And I wanted to stop missing time with my family, and I wanted to also take into account that, tutoring is a very it's expensive. It's a specialized skill, and not all families can always afford it, which totally understand. So I want to make a low cost option, while taking into account that this would maybe give me more time with my family, but a low cost SAT prep option for students of all backgrounds, or for students who are motivated and wanna work on their own and not just be the textbooks. I also knew, that the digital world was coming, and, it's here, and so the SAT changed to digital officially in about 3 weeks. Will be the first US, math SAT and English SAT that's all computerized.
wow. I didn't know
Yeah.
that they did that.
Yeah, so it's no longer and they revamped the format, and I said, "You know what? I'm going to give it a shot and try and make my website similar to that." And it's all digital, my stuff. It is all there's videos for everything, and, I'll explain that in a minute, but my motivation was giving everybody the opportunity who is self-motivated and wants to make something for themselves, the ability to enhance their score on the SAT, because the SATs aren't going anywhere right now, and people they do think it makes a difference on your college.
Mhm.
When you some people will say no, but I still truly believe that it does. So that was my motivation.
Very cool. Yeah, I remember just back in high school when it was time to prep for the SAT, it was like these courses were like thousands of dollars. And then if you wanted a 101, my mom was looking at me like, really? Like, can't you just figure it out?
Same here. Same here. My parents, they we lacked for nothing, but getting a private SAT tutor was probably not in the cards if I remember
Right.
correctly.
It just was like, oh, that extra thing that you had to do.
Yeah, correct.
So tell us about like what, how you created it. Was
Absolutely.
it really an extensive process for you to make all those videos, I'm sure?
Yeah, so it took me about 2 full years. I was gonna start, small, and, talking to my wife and, my sister who's also a teacher, they're like, "Go all in." So instead of just, doing it, halfway, I said it took about 2 years. It took me or a long time, a lot of late nights, a lot of, after the kids went to sleep, just putting the videos together. I created about 450 questions. All this is all math. There's no English section to it, so it's just math because that's my specialty.
Mhm.
There are 3 practice exams. What you're supposed to do is you take one in the beginning to kind of assess where you're at. You take one in the middle, one in the end. I have a 12-week study program that goes along with it, and there's 39 skills. So each skill is created solely from scratch, and each skill has about 6 to 10 questions. And you can do this all on the computer. You can do it right on your smartphone. You can do it on your tablet. You can do it on your laptop. Um, and it each question after each question, it says whether you're right or wrong, and there's a full video explanation where you hear my voice and the screen, and I'm showing you how to do the problem. So remember those old SAT prep books where you would like have to look and the answer would be
The
explained, and
explanation, you still didn't get it.
right, correct, exactly. But you see me going through each and every single problem. So that's
Wow.
um and you hear my voice in the background talking, and you don't see my face because I didn't think that was necessary. It's not that pretty or anything. So yeah, so that was my goal, and it's $25 a month the program, so I feel like almost
Wow.
anybody
That's
can.
very, very affordable.
Correct. I want to, spread the word. I want to get it out. The hardest thing I found is getting it out. And you have to be a self-motivated student. Don't get me
Right.
wrong. There's not going to be someone over your shoulder saying, you have to
Do
do it.
this.
You have to do
Yeah.
it. So that's the gist of my program.
That's incredible. I mean, just to have it at your fingertips and then it being affordable and then having the explanation. I know, like, I could literally, I'm having flashbacks. I was working in the textbook and I would go back and look at the answer and I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
Right. Correct. Unless you have, a teacher who specializes, and I've done the SAT for so long, so I created all the sections that they hit on, and all my questions go from easy to hard. So, and you don't have to do the whole section if you have a section aced. But this way, you really can work through it with a plan and you can check it off. And everything is also available in PDF if you want to print it up and do the
Right.
work on Scratch, and the explanation. And it just gets you ready to take the digital because it's very different taking it on a computer, no matter what we want to say, no matter what we want to do. It's just different taking the SAT on the computer.
Definitely. I mean, and I feel like people are going to adjust well, especially the
Yeah,
younger
for sure.
generation.
I know.
And
They're
realize
better than
everything they
than
do
we are.
but still, it is an adjustment. Um, I was just thinking, what experience or what, yeah, I guess what experience do you have with the SAT? Like, how did you become an expert on the SAT?
So when I started tutoring about 10 years ago, I used to work like after school and then I want to get home and be here. And um, I just started doing the SAT and I went back and I studied all these past exams because they have a library. If you search hard enough on the internet, you can look up all these questions because the SAT makes about 3 or 4 available a year. And I just started going over the questions and working with students and just you see the patterns because there's patterns in
Mhm,
every SAT. I'm interested to see what the new patterns will be.
mhm.
But I did my best to say, okay, these are what they do most. These are what they do least. These are what
Right.
I
Like
sometimes
historically.
yeah, correct, exactly, using the data as much as I could and using, my sense and just my knowledge of the math, and just going back and looking and saying, "Okay, let me go through this exam, let me go through that exam."
Right.
You see this, and you do it enough and you work with enough students, it becomes, I'm sure like
It's
you,
like
like
repetitive.
yeah, and you see the second nature and you see what's going on for sure.
Very interesting. Because I felt like when I was in school, it was very different than like what you learned in school. It was
Yes,
like a whole
and
like you had to learn how to take that test and read those questions.
it's so funny that you just said I literally tell everyone that because I still private tutor a lot,
Right.
and I tell all the kids who I teach the SAT, I say it's so different than any test that you've taken in your
Mhm.
life. It is a little bit common sense. It's not just route doing this. It's not just okay. Here's 3x plus 2. Take away 2. They
Right.
make you think a little bit. You have to think out. They just want you to get the correct answer. There's no partial credit. It's so it
Right.
if
Right
you
or
can
wrong.
think, yeah, correct. If you can think, if you know how to do stuff, and sometimes that's not, in school, like as teachers, we're like, okay, you have to show your work. You have to
Mhm.
do X, Y, and Z. They want to know, can you get to the root of the problem? And that's what I try and show tricks and tips and how to do that and how to solve it a little bit easier because it's a time test too.
Right.
So,
So you gotta
it,
move through the questions.
yeah, exactly. So I show what I've learned and what I've developed and the stuff that sometimes you don't always teach in a classroom, but you will teach, because it's teaching to the test a little bit.
Right. Exactly. That was the thing that I felt like you needed the most help with because
You
nobody
do.
was teaching you that, right? It's like you learn
Right.
one way in school, and then it's like, whoa, you can do this
It's
quick.
almost like you can throw that out except for the
Yeah,
knowledge that you've learned.
right.
I mean, even this year, the digital SAT is now you can use a calculator on every single question. I know
Wow.
it yeah, so, like, even teaching how to correctly use, like, not just a graphing calculator, but they allow you to use a program called Desmos, it's integrated into the test. So how
Okay.
to use that to solve problems, it's just another trick of the trade that if you don't prep for
Know
it, you
how,
won't
right.
yeah, exactly. So, I
So
tried
interesting.
ooh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say it's just so interesting, and it's like how you've zoned in and really got like your niche, like you know what you're talking about, and you need that.
I feel like I do. But yeah, it's just again, like you, and it's that you hone in on your business and you try and perfect it and do the best that you can for it and for yourself and for the people you work with, your clients, your students, whoever it is. You want and their success also ends up being my success. One, I feel
Right.
good for them. I feel good for the families. Like I the other day, someone called me and said, "Can you work with my younger son? You helped get the younger son into West Point," which I felt was like,
Wow.
which was so cool. And so now I'm working, SAT prep because you get sons at West Point. They want the other one to go. Like I just that was really cool. And then that also means more success for me too. So like
Right.
it's a good cycle. It's a, you do good, you make yourself available, you treat people good. And around here, people have treated me great. And I want to get the word out, not just to here, because I think it can help. everyone. I think it can help, inner city. It can help, if you're in the Midwest, it could,
Yeah,
get to you in
anybody.
the
I mean,
Midwest.
it's at
Right.
your fingertips. That's what's so great about it. So how
Yeah.
can, in closing, how can somebody contact you or get in touch or sign up for this
Yep.
program?
So I created my whole website. It's called SmartThinkMath.com. I can send you the link later.
Hmm.
It's if that's what you want, whatever you need. But yeah, and everything is explained on there. I also am at email smartthinkmath@gmail.com. And my cell phone number is always, I don't know if you want that
Yeah,
now. I send it to you.
I'll drop all those links
Perfect.
in when we
That's what
post
I
it.
figured.
And yeah, I look forward to hopefully somebody listening needs your
I hope
assistance
so.
and they could reach
Yeah.
out. Thank you so much for your time. This was really, really interesting.
This was awesome. Thank you so much, Kelly. You have a great day.
You